Hey, this is John Moreland, and you're listening to the Midwest Mixtape Podcast.
I started up the engine, headed for the place we met. I prayed to Sister Juliet, smoked 3 packs of cigarettes. I'm still trying to figure out forgiveness, keep track of all of my sins.
Hi, and welcome to the Midwest Mixtape Podcast, live from the Barn Studio. You got the Mox here, and online right now, one of my favorite artists of all time, Mr. John Moreland. John, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing really well. When we launched this podcast, probably, a couple years ago now, we actually launched it with artists like you, and specifically you in mind, because just full transparency here, you're one of my favorite songwriters of the last 10 plus years, and I am honored that you're joining us with us today.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm honored that you would say that.
And you've been pretty active on Instagram here lately, I would say, maybe even more so than in years past. Been playing, I guess, some new tunes on Instagram and really been enjoying these so far. You got No Time, Will the Heavens Catch Us, One Man Holds the World Hostage, Silver Sliver, Gentle Violence, a lot of great tunes it sounds like you're working on or have worked on.
Yeah, thank you. I got those are all like new songs that I've been writing the last year or two, and kind of recorded an album of all those tunes low key last year. I sort of took a break from playing shows and being in public and stuff, and just kind of stayed home and recorded. And now that's like coming out, and it felt like just kind of putting it out there as a surprise, and just sharing the songs on Instagram first without really telling anybody there's a new album or anything, but just kind of saying like, here's some new songs, check it out, was kind of a cool way to go. I think it felt to me like people were a lot more engaged than with the traditional kind of like album rollout with like a single every month for 3 months or whatever. I don't know if people have the attention span for that anymore these days.
Yeah, and I would say that's a fresh and unique way to kind of get the songs out there, right? Like the traditional way would be release a single or whatever. But you've never really played by the rules anyway. In your career, would you agree to that? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, and I think that for me, things kind of work differently for me. Like in particular, I think for my music, like, and what my fans connect with about my music, I've been thinking, like, since I've been putting the new songs on Instagram, it feels like this is kind of a better way to present my music anyway. And for the first time, like it's cool to like have the record and there's a little bit of production on there, but like, I think for me, I don't know. It's just like, I've always found that playing solo is like the best way for me to connect with people, with my audience, and like the more instruments I add on stage, the more people I add, it kind of just, the more difficult it gets to make that connection sometimes. And and I think that just playing the songs for people is kind of just like a really direct, effective way to show the music to people for the first time.
And I would say the last few albums, your sound has, progressed in a lot of different ways, more soundscapes, more programmed drums. And I know maybe you had even received some, pushback from like the John Moreland OGs of the world, right? Where they like you stripped down and as raw and as vulnerable as you can be. Do you ever write with the listener in mind, or is it solely just for you? Like, is this a therapeutic thing that you do for you? And if other people dig it, then that's cool. And if not, you kind of move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's for me. I mean, I can't, I don't like the last previous couple records, I was aware that there were going to be some people who weren't into them, but that's just where I was at. That's the music that I felt compelled to make. And I can't make something that I'm not feeling myself. So like that kind of has to be the first thing. And yeah, and then I hope it lines up and people can also like feel it and see where I'm coming from. But I think, a career where you're just sort of pandering to what people want you to do all the time, that sounds really miserable. So,
Right.
So I think, yeah, you got to just kind of do what you want and understand that some things are going to hit, some things are going to bum people out, whatever. But it's just like, yeah, I have to make the music that is in me to make.
And we'll be releasing this interview on Friday, April 5th, and drop the new album today, in the future, I guess. Is it sort of a throwback to some of your more maybe organic sound or some of your songs, or is it kind of playing off some of the new records?
I guess you could say, I don't want to say it's a throwback, but it's kind of like, yeah, I would just say after a couple albums of messing around with drum machines and tons of pedals and stuff, it felt nice to lose all that stuff and just play instruments, just play songs again, just kind of and do a really simple raw thing that it's kind of what felt like the songs needed, this batch of songs, and it's just sort of what felt like where my heart was at the time it was recorded last summer as well.
And do we have a title for the record, I'm guessing?
Oh, yeah, it's called Visitor.
Can we talk a little bit about your style of playing, specifically with your finger picking? I think that's one of the things that your listeners and your fans enjoy so much is like, a lot of the chords you're playing, we've heard those chords a million times in a million different songs, but do you credit your finger picking as to maybe that gives your sound something that's a little bit more unique and refreshing rather than just, here's a G and a C and a D or whatever?
Yeah, I guess so. I hope so. I mean, I think that's kind of why I started doing it. Because for a long time, I really didn't start fingerpicking till I was almost 27, maybe 20. Yeah, I think I was 27 when I started kind of like seriously like, okay, I want to learn this. I want to like get good at it. And so, for a long time, I mean, I started writing songs way, way before that. So for a long time, I was just strumming, just blim, blim, blim all the time. And so like, I think, I think I was looking for a way to kind of make things more interesting. And I knew that I wanted to keep writing like folk songs. I knew that my songs were still going to continue to have, I wasn't going to start throwing Steely Dan chords into stuff probably. Like it's probably just still going to be like G, C, D, E minor, stuff like that, But yeah, it was a way to like add some texture and variety to the set and to the sound. And so, yeah, I hope it provides that. And
you're getting ready to go out on tour to support the new record, I'm guessing. John Moreland, You're going to be in our town in St. Louis, Missouri at Off-Broadway. Great venue. I've actually seen you play there before. John Moreland with Justin Bloss, Saturday, April 13th, 2024. Doors are at 7, shows at 8 o'clock. We can't wait to have you back in town. What iteration of John Moreland can we expect with this tour? Is it you solo? Is it you with John Calvin Abney? Is it a full band? What can we expect at these shows?
Yeah, just solo acoustic. And Justin Bloss is also going to be playing solo acoustic, and he's fantastic, and I recommend everybody check him out.
That's amazing. We saw you a few summers ago in St. Louis at the outdoor venue in Chesterfield for the Open Highway Music Festival. And
oh, yeah.
One of my favorite songs that you play is Lies I Chose to Believe. And I've seen you play it acoustically, but I mostly see you, and specifically at that show, you played it with like maybe your Fender Stang or something.
Yeah.
And you do it with...
Yeah, I think I was playing electric, yeah.
We do it with like maybe a little slap back on it, slap back reverb. How do you know, like, is it just a feeling for what you play acoustic and what you might throw on an electric? Is it just a vibe that you get or a sound? How do you determine that, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, there's sometimes like right now, I've been really in like hardcore acoustic mode for like a year. So I kind of don't, right now, I feel like I'm not really interested in even bringing electric guitar on tour. So I'm just, playing the whole set on acoustic. And that's kind of the deciding factor there. But like a couple of years ago, I was touring. I did some tours where I played just electric only. And that was, another thing, kind of like fingerpicking, just like it's a way that I can do a solo performance as a solo singer-songwriter and get some different sounds and different textures and variety. And I kind of, for a while, I settled on doing acoustic and electric. And that was really cool because honestly, like there's certain songs I might have a slight preference on whether to play it on acoustic or electric. But most, I would say 90% of my songs, I'm pretty comfortable doing on either one. And so then it was just like a night to night thing. I would just kind of play it by ear, just get up there and go through the set list, and just whichever ones I felt like playing electric, I would do that. Whichever ones I felt like playing acoustic, I would do that. Sometimes the audience could be a little bit of a factor. Like if it was a bit of a chattier audience, sometimes I might opt to like lean more on electric during the set. Cause it kind of just cuts through, carries a little more, and it's just kind of easier for me to hear. So yeah, it was a cool thing to just be able to wing it like that. But yeah, for now I'm going to be back to just, acoustic, grandpa music.
Sitting around the campfire strumming a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I've been waiting years to ask you this question. I am a closeted metalhead. I don't even know if closet is the right word to actually have a metal podcast, but I know that you come from the metal world, the hardcore world, and I think I read somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, that like you are a huge Converge fan and even maybe have some Converge tattoos, maybe?
Oh yeah, I'm a really big Converge fan. I do have a tattoo that's kind of a Converge related tattoo. It says No Heroes on it, which is a Converge album.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like Converge artwork or anything, but it has a nod to the album title. And yeah, I've kind of like gotten a little bit more back into hardcore and heavy stuff the last couple of years. There was a long time where I really was like not paying attention at all to that stuff, but it's been kind of fun to like dive back in and hear like younger bands and see what's out there now.
Is there any younger, metal hardcore bands that you like that's out, like the Knock Loose or the Turnstiles, any of those excite you?
Yeah, I'm not that into Knock Loose. I love Turnstile. Let's see I'm super into Mind Force the last year or two. And, I really like, man, I was asking for hardcore recommendations on Instagram the other day, and people gave me a bunch of good ones. There was, this band called Mil-Spec that's kind of melodic hardcore that I've been listening to for like a week straight since I heard them. And, a band from Baltimore called End It that I really liked as well. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff right now in the hardcore scene.
This is definitely the case with me, but when people, if they would hear that I'm a John Moreland fan and hear some of your work and then hear Converge, those are two different sounds, right? But yeah. But for me, it actually makes sense because one of the things I love, and if we're talking about Converge specifically, one of the things I love about them is their music is just, sometimes dark and honest and painful and authentic, but in a way it's very beautiful, because of that. And I sort of feel that same way with some of your songs with the, cut to the throat sort of lyrics that just cut you deep. It's so, maybe painful or elicit that response that is beautiful in a way. Do you make that connection at all?
Yeah, totally. And I think like just hearing people kind of express that darkness or express their struggles honestly is vital. Like, like humans need that. We need to hear that from we need to like share that with each other, I think. And yeah, I think like Converge also is in a way, like to me, they're something that comes to mind is they're very catchy, even though they're brutally heavy and sometimes dark. And they kind of break all the rules. Like sometimes they can be super like kind of grindcore power violence influenced and have songs that are a minute long. And then other times they're like a sludge metal band and they got the song that's 12 minutes long or whatever.
Yeah.
But through all that, they really maintain like a catchiness. Like it's all like kind of easy to listen to, even though it's really harsh and brutal. And maybe my music is not like brutal and harsh in the same way, but it's very stark at times and not necessarily easy to listen to like on paper if you described it to someone. But then at the same time, I hope and try to like maintain a catchiness to where like even if it's just like a person playing acoustic guitar and singing, like it still is like enjoyable to listen to and you want to hear it over and over.
Do you think some of your career is modeled off after that sort of punk rock ethos, sort of the do-it-yourself kind of way where, like we were talking about earlier on, is like, you know, you're not following the traditional model of releasing a single and a video and then the album. You're kind of doing things your own way. Do you still have that punk rock in you? Is that sort of where that comes from?
Yeah, it's definitely where it comes from. I don't think I would have known how to pursue a music career otherwise. So yeah, like early on, before I had management and a booking agent, anything like that, like I had some sense of how to do that stuff myself, not really in like a super effective professional way, but I managed, you know, I got it done. I booked my own tours and got out there and put out my own records. And so like, yeah, I wouldn't have known how to do that stuff without kind of like coming up in a local punk scene where I had examples of other people like me doing that kind of thing. And that I could kind of model what I was doing on them. And so, you know, do I still have it? I guess maybe a little bit. I mean, my career works differently now. Like I have a booking agent and he gets me way better shows than I could ever get myself. And he gets me way more money than I could get myself. And it's like, yeah. So I don't want to, you know, and like, I like having a manager and I like having, you know, I like not having to mail out every merch order myself anymore, like things like that. But, yeah. But I guess I still do in the sense that like, you know, we do a surprise album, we're doing a surprise album release, like things like that. I don't think, to me, it's not necessarily like, I don't know if punk is where it comes from anymore, but I think that it just, I've seen through the years of my career that the kind of industry standard like rules that you're supposed to stick to if you want to make it don't really work for me. And kind of just going with my intuition is usually what works instead. So I try to do that.
I think so highly of your songs that I wish, and maybe I wish this, maybe not, but I wish your music was available and pushed out as much as like Taylor Swift. But I don't think I think sometimes with that, fans get very like territorial, maybe like that. John Moreland's my artist, right? I don't want him out there. Are you happy with where your career is now? Like, are you happy playing the clubs that you're playing, or would you want more accessibility to your music?
Well, kind of both. I mean, I am, you know, it's a blessing to be where I'm at and do what I get to do. And, yeah, man, the few shows I've been playing lately, kind of starting to get back out there, ramp it up for more touring this year, have been really great. And yeah, every time I'm just like, wow, this many people showed up. Cool. Like, you know, it's just been, it's really, I didn't have crazy expectations, but I've been really overwhelmed. And so, but at the same time, of course, if I could grow and reach more people and sell more records and make, you know, play bigger venues, more people, that would be, I wouldn't say no, you know, but, you know, I don't feel like I'm like thirsting for anything, you know, I just, want to keep doing my thing and enjoy what I've got and, see what happens.
You have some notable fans on your side, I would say. You know, Miranda Lambert has obviously, you know, championed your career. Rachel Maddow, Ben from Lucero's covered God's Medicine for years now. Are there some other people that the public's maybe not aware of that have reached out to you and, you know, expressed their love for your songs?
Well, I met Garrett Hedlund recently at a show in Kansas City. So that's one. And he was really cool. And yeah, I don't know. I think Rainn Wilson tweeted about me once, I'm remembering. I don't know. There's a few. I don't know.
When people like that sign off on your career and sort of back you in that way, does that give you any kind of, you know, response to it? Do you have a certain feeling about that?
Yeah, it's just cool, like, that people connect with the music and like what I'm doing, you know? So I feel like, if it's like an artist that I admire as well, then that's super fun. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't have a ton to say about that. I'm sorry.
We'll have to go through your phone sometime and see all the celebrities on there. Hey, we just celebrated 10 years of In the Throes, a 10-year anniversary of that this past January. What do you remember about making that record? Does it feel 10 years old at this point? Tell us a little bit about In the Throes, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it was kind of the first time I was recording myself. Really, and well, I made like a whole album before that kind of sucked, and I just threw it away. And because I was so new to recording, it was just really like a mess. And so, but then through doing the one that I threw away, I kind of like knew a little bit how to do a little bit better than that. And so I also had written some new songs. And so, yeah, I kind of like just reimagined the whole new album, kind of took some songs from the thing that I threw away and then some newer ones and made In the Throes. And, yeah, it was recorded in my room at my parents' house where I still lived at the time. So, just a real small bedroom and, really still, you know, no idea what I was doing, but just knew that I thought the songs were good. And that was like the only conceivable way I knew of to really record them and get them out there.
One last question. We'll let you get out of here, John. Really appreciate your time. Looking forward to catching you when you come into town Saturday, April 13th at Off-Broadway in St. Louis. You know, your lyrics specifically touch people in so many ways, and I hate to be cheesy about this, but I'm going to reference Almost Famous here. When you were writing, do you have to feel the emotion that you're writing about? Do you have to be depressed to write a sad song? Do you have to be in love to write a love song? Or is that something you can tap into and channel without having to experience it personally?
Well, I would say everything. I don't know. It's kind of both. Like, I have to experience it personally, but then I usually am writing about it after the fact. So I'm not necessarily like depressed while I'm writing a depressing song or whatever, you know. Usually when I'm happy is when I write songs. So if I'm happy and feeling good and life is cool, then that's when I'm going to write songs. But I might be reflecting back on tougher times or struggles or whatever. So, and those are real struggles that I've felt and been through. And even if I'm writing about somebody else, I'm still writing about me because all I can really know is my own experience. So yeah, that's my answer.
We appreciate your time today. We are such big fans here. John Moreland will be coming into town, St. Louis, Missouri at Off-Broadway, Saturday, April 13th. And then we got that surprise album coming out. Cannot wait to hear it in its full entirety, John. We are big fans here, and we really appreciate your time today, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I've gone and lost my faith in photographs. Curse those martyrs that mark my past. And I long for a day we'll look back and laugh about all this. But good luck finding your peace of mind, being born into these brutal times. And these days I don't pray when I close my eyes, I just bite my tongue a bit harder. 'Cause you were a lie I chose to believe, a lie I chose to believe. Let's float these gutters up past Heaven's Gate. Get me out of these damn desert states. Did you hear the one about the hand of fate? Oh man, it'll make your heart stop. Do you ever wish that you could just back out? Take your nickels and go cash out. Forget the faces you've been crying about and see where forgiveness takes you.